Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night to whoever you are, wherever you are, whenever you are. It is finally Friday. It is August 21st, 2026. And it is a little before 4 o'clock. Or actually, I'll take that back. It's a little before 3:30, but it is going to 4 o'clock. So it's still before 4 o'clock, but still. Little things make me happy. I know people will be like the little things, but it's the little things that have a big impact, and it could be anything. Like, for example, someone I know has a Kia Sportage, and when I sat inside that car, I thought it was the neatest thing. It was like a spaceship. The dashboard looked completely different from my car because I have a Kia. I have a much older Kia model. I have a Kia Rio. The very, very standard 2009. Obviously not state of the art, but I love my car. But yeah, it was like a spaceship, and they're looking at me like I'm crazy. Like, it's just, yeah, this is normal. Like, it's a spaceship. This is awesome. So it's like the little things, and it's like when you hear a song that you haven't heard of before, or like it's that tune you had in your head so many different times. Like, for example, Slave Zero. When I found out that game, because that game had plagued me for years upon years, and I found it. Just found it out of nowhere. I was so happy. I was like, yes, I found it. I even bought it. I even bought the game and everything. And every time I go to an Asian store and I see an item that I grew up seeing, I'm like, oh my God, I remember that. We would go to the Yakuyen shop and we would get it there. It was just like, it's the little things, and it could be the stupidest, lamest thing. I remember someone telling me about an actor from Buckaroo Banzai. I won't say who this actor is. And they were talking about how this person, wasn't exactly a good person. And I said, oh, wow, really? Because I saw a video of the actor, and and in the comment section, some person said that they had a really good time with that actor and things of that nature. And when they were doing Buckaroo Banzai, and they said, oh, Buckaroo Banzai. Oh, they're like Buckaroo Banzai. Like, Buckaroo Banzai was like, Buckaroo Banzai was a movie that was constantly genre changing. So basically, Buckaroo Banzai stars Peter Weller, who is well known for his role as Robocop, and Leviathan, and he's in a whole bunch of other roles too. But Buckaroo Banzai was one of his, well known roles, just like Robocop. Basically, he's a Renaissance man who is a rock star, a physicist, a scientist, a brain surgery. Like, he's a jack of all trades. Like, how is that even possible? Where does he find time to do what he does? And they said that they didn't understand the movie because the movie, like I said, was genre changing. It was like, is it a sci-fi movie? Is it a romance movie? Is it a rock and roll? It was cheesy. It was lame. It was weird. It was corny, but it worked. So when they said that, they didn't like the movie, I came out and go, I love the movie. I love Buckaroo Banzai. They were like, you love him? I was like, yeah, I own it. They were like, what? I said, it was lame. It was cheesy. It was weird. It was odd. Yes, I understand that. But it was the 80s. And it was a movie that it wasn't trying to be something. It wasn't trying to be something it wasn't. It just was. And it reminds you of when you were a kid and you watched the lamest show ever. You grow up as an adult and you watch it, you're like, I watched this as a kid, but you didn't care because you had the experience. You knew what the show was. You knew who the characters were, where they were from, and it just made you feel good because it was genuine. And that's what the 80s were. That's what the 90s were. You know, it was just the little things, you know. It could be the stupidest thing, but it worked, you know. You know, and yeah, and then I remember talking about The Bride one time with someone I know. And I was going into, you know, why the execution of The Bride was the way it was, and how much of the fiction was close to the reality behind the history of Mary Shelley. And I got very, very deep into it because it is true. I mean, it was said that Mary Shelley, Edgar Allan Poe, Janice Dickinson, Charles Dickinson, all these writers, and then you have the artists like Vincent van Gogh, Picasso, these composers, they never got to relish in the success that they deserved. They never got the acknowledgement that they were fighting for, that they longed for. They never were given the chance, you know, to revel in their success. They never got to live to see it. It's not until centuries, years upon years later, that they are now the most influential artists, performers, writers, but they never got to see it. You know, they never got to see how much of an influence, how much of an impact it would have on people. Their work, Mary Shelley, her work, her book Frankenstein is in advanced placement classes, college. And she managed to bring to life the most iconic character, which you see right there, the little crochet of Frankenstein. Like, she has no idea how much of an influence her book would have. The same thing with Bram Stokes. I don't think he knew how much his, you know, work would have. William Shakespeare, I mean, all that stuff. Like, they never got, well, some of them did, but a good amount of them did not, like Edgar Allan Poe. What was it? He got $5 for his poem, The Raven, which is a huge, huge poem today. You know, he's of the great, he was like the godfathers of American literature. And I know this because it was so funny, because for my English class in senior year, there was a hat being passed around, and that hat had names of American literature people. And when we picked out a name, we had to write a report on that author, and then write a poem or a short story in their style of writing, or in their style of how they execute it. Dun, 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 dun. I managed to get Edgar Allan Poe. Checked out a book on Edgar Allan Poe, which I own, which has his biography and his stories in it. And then I did a poem in the way that he did, it, and my teacher was impressed. I then used that same poem for my creative writing class. And the teacher there, Mr. Flynn, basically said that if I did not put my name on my writings, if no one put their names on their writing, he could tell which one was mine just by my writing alone. And it was he was flabbergasted. And one of my classmates, who happened to be in my English class, basically told them that, because the teacher said I was a poet. And the classmate says, we should call her Poe because she's a poet. Therefore, she's Poe and blah, blah, blah. And that name stuck for a while. it stuck for a while. Poe, like Edgar Allan Poe, because it just stuck. But yeah, it's the little things that make me smile. I could see the weirdest vintage radio and want it and just not care because I like it. You know, just the little things make me happy. That's just me. It's the little things that have a big impact. Remember that. Because little things aren't trivial because they have a big impact. You know, they will always have a big impact. I've always said that. Yeah, it's a little thing, but it doesn't mean that it's not going to mean any less than a big thing. No, it's going to mean just as much. But yeah, little things.